How do we deal with the choices that humanity makes collectively? I've distanced myself from the news because the events make me really sad, but I think I need to learn how to deal with it instead of just avoiding it.
When a young child picks up a favorite toy, she needs to play. She needs to develop her creative imagination. She needs to live in a wonderful world that it fits perfectly with who she is at that exact moment. So she plays. She really plays, and she will spend many hours just playing. But then another child, the same age, comes along with a different toy. At first, they start playing together and suddenly they're fighting. An adult can't understand that this fight isn't really a fight. There is a deep necessity to fully acknowledge and recognize the other as an essential and integral component of the world she lives in. Once the young child truly begins to understand that the other person is simply thinking about things in a different way, the heated argument finally comes to an end and they can happily go back to playing together again. You've probably seen this happen. Sometimes kids who are really angry can get very mad at their little friend who was just playing with them a moment ago. Suddenly, that anger goes away and they're back to playing. That experience of fighting is really important for the child at that moment because she didn't know what it meant to share. She didn't know what it was like to have someone next to her who had the same rights as she did. She didn't know what it was like to have to say, if she tells a doll, "Go to the right," and the other says, "No, the doll has to go to the left." She didn't know what to do with that information. She was completely at a loss for what to do with this mysterious and unfamiliar voice that had just as much commanding authority as she did. Fighting, struggling, conflict, it's not something that ushers in peace, that ushers in love, that ushers in absolute perfection, and that ushers in radiant beauty. But for some beings, war is still an unfortunate necessity. Even if, for the vast majority of people, it's entirely unnecessary. For those individuals, it's still necessary because there is still ongoing conflict. There is that one who still doesn't know how to deal with someone else's light. So, this individual is determined to utilize extreme physical violence and aggression to forcefully impose his personal will and dominance upon every other person standing in his way. Just try to see that humanity is slowly healing, even if it is not happening at the exact speed you might imagine. And you should also realize that not everything you see in the daily news or on social media is the absolute truth. It is simply the truth of what is happening right now. In the vast majority of cases, the information is not entirely based on reality. Sometimes it is heavily exaggerated, and other times it is completely fabricated from scratch. It's not simply about remaining vigilant, but about uniting as a community. Peace. The only way to completely extinguish a fire is with the direct opposing element. Since you're facing the element of fire, there's a raging blaze right in front of you. So, what exactly should you do? To effectively contain or extinguish that dangerous fire, you must use the specific element that contrasts with it the most: water. The exact same thing applies to feelings of hatred and violence. What exactly does an individual typically do when they truly want to bring an end to violence and conflict? Bring a sense of calm? Bring lasting peace. When faced with bitter hatred, bring unconditional love and bring deep understanding. So, if you truly want to make a meaningful contribution toward global peace, join with it. Choose to actively ignore the concept of war in the sense of not giving it any of your personal energy. Many people simply do not realize just how incredibly precious the energy of someone who regularly consumes the daily news actually is. They have no idea. They think it's their absolute responsibility to know exactly what's going on. But when large groups of people come together on the same vibrational frequency, saying, this is painful, this is painful, this is painful, the universe is only picking up on that specific frequency and an overwhelmingly large amount of that frequency because so many people gather around that frequency. So I invite not just you, but every single one of you right now to unite together in peace. Take the first step to get involved and truly embody the spirit of peace. Start by bringing peace outward. And exactly how can you bring peace outward? By practicing Ho'oponopono to dissolve memories of war, dissolve memories of battles. So, first, you sit in a very comfortable place, a quiet and peaceful spot where you can spend 5 minutes. Close your eyes and say slowly to yourself, the divinity within me completely dissolves the cellular memories of war and of all past battles. I accept, I love you, and I thank you. I accept, I love you, I thank you. I accept, I love you, I thank you. Let the feeling of peace come to the surface. You are not there to feel sad. You are there to be at peace. You can also, of course, enter into deep meditations, sending out healing peace to the whole entire planet. But you need to dissolve it within yourself to change the collective, which you are a part of.